Good morning, friends. This is Sherry Coleman Collins, registered dietitian, nutritionist, and one half of the duo from the Southern Fried Girlfriends podcast. I have to say, if you are watching this or when you watch this, thank you. This has been such a challenge. I've had so much technical difficulty this morning trying to do Facebook Live. And I've done Facebook Live before and it has not been this hard. I don't know if it's operator error. I'm just trying to do it from my Mac on the laptop rather than doing it on my phone, and that just was not working. I was trying to do a live Facebook and also a live Instagram, and I got the live Instagram done, but for some reason the Facebook just kept cutting me off. So my apologies if you were trying to watch and you got frustrated or disconnected or just got to see about 30 seconds or 1 minute of the snippet of what I was trying to share. So anyway, sometimes that happens and you just have to roll with the punches. No big deal. It is Monday after all. What can we expect? Well, anyway, I want to say thank you so much for liking the page for the Southern Fried Girlfriends podcast and for listening to the podcast and for sharing your feedback. I've heard from so many of you already, and I look forward to hearing from many more of you what you think of the show. And on Monday mornings, my plan is to regularly pop in on the Facebook page and share some of what's going on, talk a little bit about the show, answer your questions. So if you have questions, if you have any thoughts on the show and you're listening live or you're listening to the replay, I would love to hear that. Just make a comment and I'll respond to those as soon as I can. Dee is not with me today, but I do want to give a shout out and a big old thank you to Dee for all the hard work she does behind the scenes on the podcast and also for being the other side of the conversation at each of our shows. It's been so much fun to do this with her, and I just appreciate so much who she is. I wanted to take this time on Monday mornings to just give you a little bit of an idea of what's going on with the podcast and what you can expect. And also share a little bit about what I have going on in my 3 buckets of spiritual, mental, and physical wellness, and share tips or tools that I'm finding useful in my life. So I hope that it'll be a helpful little adjunct to the podcast, and it's not going to be long. It's going to be like between 5 and 10 minutes on Monday mornings because I don't have a whole lot of time either, but I do want to take the time to say thank you for listening and to share with you what's going on. So for the podcast, if you haven't listened yet, let me tell you a little bit about what you can expect and what we've already done. We've recorded about 7 episodes so far, which I think is so exciting and awesome. And we have a lot more ideas planned. We have more ideas than we have shows to do. So I think we've got enough ideas for the next year, but we want to hear what ideas you want to hear about too. So in the buckets of mental, spiritual, and physical wellness, please let me know what things are on your mind or what questions you have so that we can make the show a really fun conversation and meaningful to you as well. So far, the first 2 episodes are really our get to know you episodes. So they are shows to tell you about our personalities and our expertise and our interests, to let you know what we plan to talk about on the show, and also just to give you a taste for the show atmosphere or the feel of the show. You know, it's really casual like I am. I hope it's really approachable. A lot of it is just sort of ad lib. We're just talking through these things just like you would if you were sitting across the table with your girlfriend, because to me that's when some of the most meaningful conversations happen. So that's really what you can expect from the show, from show 1 and 2. If you haven't listened, please do that. And again, it's the Southern Fried Girlfriends podcast, and you can find that on iTunes and on any of the podcast listening apps. So then we get to episode 3, and episode 3 is really my passion for food and nutrition, and it is how to make healthy food taste great, because I believe that healthy food does taste great, and if it doesn't taste great, nobody's going to want to eat it, right? So I really tried to share some of my favorite tips for how I make healthy food taste great at my house. And I hope that you will listen and incorporate some of those things into your healthy cooking. And if you have some other suggestions, I started a Facebook post on the page. So if you want to just log in, sort of comment there about what's working for you at home, or what things you learned from the episode that might be helpful for you, or even some suggestions, some things that you think we could do differently or that we should have suggested or should have mentioned. I did mention a resource that I want to show you because I forgot to put the link in the blog post. I have a blog post on my on my website at southernfriednutrition.com, and I'll have that for every show episode, but this is the book that I mentioned in episode 3, and it is Good and Cheap by Leanne Brown, and it is a great book about healthy eating. Well, it's not really about healthy eating, it's really a cookbook, but the recipes in it are really healthy. Almost all of them, I think, really are very healthy recipes. The big thing about this book is that it really walks you through some techniques for how to cook simply, easily, quickly, conveniently, and affordably, which are all the things that people need to know. I think that one of the biggest barriers for people to eating healthy a lot of times is this idea that healthy eating is too expensive, but it really isn't. You just have to know what you're doing, you have to know how to do it, and you have to be willing to cook. And this cookbook is a great starter cookbook, but even for me as a seasoned cook, somebody who cooks a lot, I really like the recipes from the cookbook. If you have it, I'd love to know what recipes you like. I love the peanut sauce recipe, and I don't say that just because I work with the peanut folks. I say it because I really love it. I use it a lot. It's a great basic recipe, and there are a lot of great basic recipes in the cookbook. So that's it for episode 3. Episode 4, to give you a preview, is going to be and I know I look super washed up, sorry about that. Episode 4 is going to be about meal and menu planning. And Ann Dunaway Tay is going to be on the show, and she's one of my favorite girlfriends, and she is definitely an expert at meal and menu planning. And I know that you're going to learn a lot, and you're going to hear from us sort of the different ways to meal prep and menu plan. It's not the same for everybody, and there are lots of different ways to do it, and that's totally fine. So listen to episode 3. It'll get you ready for episode 4, which is all about sort of that menu and meal planning piece. And then after that, we're going to depart a little bit from physical, and we're going to talk about some spiritual health things. So I'm excited about what's to come on the show, and look forward to your feedback again on that. So that's it for the show right now. And then a couple of other things I wanted to share, just 2 things that for me are really helping me live a healthier life. One is in the mental health area, and one is in spiritual health. So I'll start with the mental health area, and that is Enneagram. Do you guys know Enneagram? Enneagram is a personality type. There are 9 personality types in the Enneagram, so you can have 1 through 9 can be your Enneagram number, somewhere in there. And each one really is based on strengths and weaknesses, but also what you're afraid of and what your biggest fear is that drives you to certain behaviors. And it teaches you, once you know your Enneagram, it teaches you how you respond to the world and how you can respond differently, or how you can make some different choices or adjustments in the way that you're thinking or interacting. So it's not completely unlike Myers-Briggs or DISC or something like that, but it is a little bit more, I find it to be a little bit more in depth. So anyway, I just bought this book. So have you read it? It's called The Road Back to You. And I'm really excited about it. I'm going to start it this week because I'm traveling. So I'm going to take the book with me, and I hope I can speed through it, although I have a very busy week ahead. But I'm really looking forward to having the book with me and getting started. So if you've read it or you know your Enneagram number, I would love to hear your thoughts on Enneagram, and I'll share with you my Enneagram number at some point in the not too distant future. Maybe we'll even do a show about it. So I'm excited about Enneagram, and I'm finding it really interesting to learn more about myself and how I think. And then the last thing I want to share with you is a devotional that I've been reading. And if you follow me on Instagram, you see me post about this. It is a book called 100 Days to Brave by Annie F. Downs. And I love this book. It has so many great tips in it. And the readings are really short. And they have scripture, and they have sort of a message, and then they have an action item at the end. So something to do or to think. And last year, I always choose a word for the year, and last year my word was brave. Hi, Deb. And I this year I chose a different word, but last year my word was brave, and I bought this book. I ordered it when it was actually 2017. So when it came out last year, I ordered it, but I didn't start it until January. And I have found reading this every day to be so encouraging, and I do feel braver when I read the book. It reminds me of the brave things I have done, and encourages me to do more brave things. So I love this book, and I highly recommend it. I think that in the realm of spiritual or even mental health, it is a really, really good investment. So that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching live and or for popping on later on. If you listen to the replay or watch the replay, that's totally fine too. Just make a comment and let me know what you think about the show, or if you have any thoughts on Enneagram, or if you have a word of the year, or any of those fun things. I'd love to hear what you're thinking, what you're up to, and hope that you'll be listening to the show. Look for the new episode on Wednesday. And if you are listening, make sure that you subscribe and that you rate the show and that you share it with a friend so that other people can find the show too. So have a great Monday. Have a great week. Thanks so much again for being part of this community. We'll look forward to connecting with you soon. Bye now.